Howdy, howdy, it's the Rodfather 916. A few hours ago, I looked at my phone and I received a text from a family member. Wasn't much, it was just a single line that says, Janice's husband, Ted, died yesterday. I've never met Ted, never heard Ted, never known Ted. It was just one of those texts you get or communication you get from family when someone's died. What I find interesting, I won't say that's probably the wrong way to approach this. I'm a little troubled by this text. This particular family I was close to as a child. And I think for years I have mourned the ending of this relationship. We were close, at least in my mind. My brother was considerably older than me, 16 years older. And he didn't like me. He didn't like me. He was an only child forever. And then I come along, and I'm a bit charming, and I'm young and new, and had my father's eye, and he didn't like that. He particularly adored our father. And he had our father in his life, most of his life. I was 6 when my dad died. Our dad died. And I didn't have a relationship with other relatives for whatever reason. But I did with this family, and they lived the next city over, and I would take the bus all day to see them, and, it appeared that I was welcome. It's a large family. We're all the same rate, around the same age group. We had the same interests, same music, and we dance and snack and eat fried chicken and popcorn and just have a good time. And they were like my brother and sisters. As I grew older, things started to crumble. I wasn't as welcomed as I thought I was. I've always been this big kid, but I also had big cousins. And one day I heard their father, my uncle, say, after years of saying, eat all you want, and I'm a kid, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Eat all you want. I heard him say to my older brother who came to the city to pick me up, he eats all our food. He eats all our food. And that troubled me, because as a kid, you believe adults. You take them at your word, your uncles, your aunts, of course, your parents. And then you hear this. And then there are other cracks in the pavement. Again, my brother was much older. He had kids. I'm closer in age to his children than I was to him. And you would hear my uncle would tell family members that I was taking advantage of my mother financially. So that was a little disheartening. It's like, and this is a man who I looked up to, because remember, my father was dead. He had 6 kids. He had this large family. I adored him. Early on, my father died. He took me fishing and he took me hunting. And while no one else in my very large family was stepping up for the man's role, he would do that. But something happened in my teens. You start to see things, and my journey is not much different than a lot of people. As you grow up, you get to see the shortcomings of the adults in your life, including your parents. And one day my mother disappeared. I lived in San Francisco. She lived in Oakland. I would see her on the weekends, and I went to the house, and there was no one there. And I called everybody, first starting off with my family member and then calling other family members, and I'm panicked. My brother, nobody knew who she was, and I was really her primary caretaker. And desperate, I called all the hospitals and learned that she had been admitted to a hospital after having a stroke. And my uncle, or should I say this family member, it's too late, had hit my mother, saying it was in her best interest. And even though I wasn't close to my brother, he attacked my brother, and I defended my brother. And I was a big kid, and 6'2", 6'3", 300 pounds, and I cussed at him for talking about my brother, and he hit me. And he's not a small man, but he hit me in the chest, and I didn't move, and I think that frightened him. He threatened to get a gun and shoot me. And he went in his bedroom, went looking for his gun, and his father-in-law told him not to do that, told him to calm down. His wife was sort of in shock. I didn't lift a hand up to him. We didn't fight. He just hit me, and it had no effect. Fast forward, I moved to the East Coast. I established a life out there. I was going to be the great actor and entertainer out on the East Coast. And I stopped hearing from my family, his kids. And years later, I discovered that he was telling tales about me. Now, he didn't know where I lived, but apparently I was all these different people. I was all these people doing all these illicit and illegal things. And you didn't know I was living 3,000 miles away. Maybe he had his sources. And it was somebody who looked like me. And suddenly his children didn't want anything to do with me. They heard about me. And that hurt me because I didn't have anybody at that time. This is a family, the one side of the family I loved. And and I want to hold on to that. We're talking decades. I would see them, but only at funerals. Their mother died, their father died. I have no ill will towards the father. I live my life in a sense of, it takes a lot of energy to hate somebody or to dislike somebody. It takes a lot of energy, and that's not where I ever want to go. I've been disappointed, as we all have, by family members and things in life, but I didn't want to hold on to it. I see that in other members in the family, I see that in friends, and I think it makes you look older. It makes you bitter, and it makes you hard, and that's not the road I want to go to, thank God. But the last time we saw each other was the death of one of the siblings. And turned out the service was here in my town. But when I was there, I realized that the family that I loved, didn't want me there. I have no reason. I've not walked around saying anything negatively about them because I love them. Still do. I didn't walk around bad-mouthing them. But I still wanted what we had when I was a kid. And sometimes you have to see the world through somebody else's lens, somebody else's eyes. I'd like to think I'm positive and loving, but not everybody's receptive to that. And my niece and her son was there, and they were smiling, and they saw me trying to connect these pieces that are really broken and can't be put together again. But I was always hopeful. But through their eyes, I had to realize there's nothing there. Sometimes I take my disappointments and I write. And I wrote about this and somebody picked it up. I wrote about this. And the title was, I'll see you next funeral. Because I realized that's the only connection that I will have with these people. And mind you, when I say these people, I'm not being negative or anything like that, but that's reality. And so here we are, September 12th or 13th, and some man I've never heard of is dead. But I still feel a kind of way about it. And I'm sort of, as I talk to you, I realize it's another, I won't say it's disappointing, but it's something I have to accept. And I am. I can't imagine if anyone I knew in the family, except for someone who's connected, I can't imagine just texting and saying, this person died, because I think I'd be disingenuous. Excuse me. But you have to let go. And I think I'm not totally there yet, about 97%. But 3% still hurts just a little bit. Wanting what's the mourning the closeness that we had, that will never be again. So it's a Rod Father. Not sure if I'm going to regret this video or not. I hope I haven't named too many names, because that's a big deal. But if you're watching that, I want to thank you. Sure like to hear your comments, your experiences. But you do have to let go. And as I speak to you, maybe that 3% that I have left, or 4% I have left, will always be hopeful. But the odds are this will never happen, and I'm actually okay with that. But I got that little bit. So meanwhile, this is Rod Father. If you've gotten this far, I appreciate you watching the video. And I like to hear from you. Not apologies. This is a semi-sad moment, sort of a therapeutic moment that I'm sharing with you. I do hope for better days for that family member who lost their spouse. And I will not be contacting them, because I don't think that's going to be healthy for me. Ideally, my personality, I would call and say, I'm sorry for your loss. But I've never met this person, and I'm going to give myself a break this time. It's going to be all right that I not make this phone call. This is the Rod Father, wishing everybody love, joy, peace, and happiness. I choose happiness. being angry and resentful. I don't envy that and or wish that on anybody. But meanwhile, thank you for watching. Mr. Rob Father, and I'm out. Bye.